The Startup Hour, giving entrepreneurs education, motivation, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs from all corners of the country. The Startup Hour is a weekly business program bringing successful Zambian entrepreneurs, policymakers, and subject experts to share their stories, answer your burning business questions, and inform you on best practices. Tune in to the Startup Hour every Tuesday from 9 a.m. Startup Hour in association with Power FM.
A very good morning indeed. Welcome to another edition of the Startup Hour. I'm your host, Patrick Chifombo, here as always with my co-host, Mapich Saka. We're joined this morning by our guest, Matale Suba. Today on the Startup Hour show, we talk minding your business with Matale Suba, Managing Director of Solid Gold Events Zambia. Matale is MD of Solid Gold Events Zambia. Solid Gold is a full-service entertainment Imagineering company, okay, based in Lusaka, Zambia, as Solid Gold's chief Imagineering company officer. Matale is responsible, for the creation and development of small to large scale events such as festivals, conferences, ceremonies, formal parties, concerts, and conventions. Solid Gold is known for customizing event strategies to match their clients' goals, budget, and manpower resources. Matale and his team are committed to providing their clients with quality service that delivers results. Their work speaks for itself with a portfolio boosting of events like the Batoka Gorge Investors Conference held in Livingston in 2016, His Excellency Edgar Lungu's presidential inauguration, and Zambia Fashion Week, as well as many others. To say that his plate is full would be an understatement. Matale is also founder and operations manager of Southside Zambia, a retail store with 2 branches at Arcades Mall, Lusaka, and Jacaranda Mall in Dola, supplying mobile phone devices and accessories to the Zambian community at large. As always, we have a quote for our guests and listeners, which goes as follows: "He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its rank." That's by Chinese general, military strategist, and philosopher Sun Tzu. Matale, it's a pleasure to have you on the Startup Hour this morning.
Thank you for having me on the show.
As always, Mwape, good morning to you.
Today, I'm very happy. It's the first time in studio we've had Chief Imagineering Officer.
Imagineering. There you go. Yeah. I got it right. So we'll start first things first with that, Matale. Define what that means, that word, that particular word, according to Solid Gold.
Yeah, Imagineering is not a new word. Maybe it's a new word to this part of the world or to our country. But Imagineering basically is 2 words. Basically, it's a compound word, which is engineering meets imagination. Okay, or imagination meets engineering, in the sense that most events, you have to wow people, and the only way you can wow people is that whatever is on your imagination or what the client would like to see, you have to translate that into reality. Now, there are safety issues, and that is why it's Imagineering, because you have to engineer something that is a product of your imagination and factoring in safety, factoring in aesthetics in terms of beauty and so on. So we are not the first company to have an Imagineer. Companies like Disney do have an engineer, under Pixar and so on. So this is a new field, relatively new field, in the sense that maybe it's only 50 years old, as opposed to engineering, which is maybe 700 to 1,000 years old.
In our world of radio, we would say imaging. Well, would that translate more or less to the same thing, where we have to give the visual perspective or the visual into audio?
Yeah, I think it's close to that.
Awesome.
It is close to that.
Awesome. Tell us a bit about how one would talk minding business.
Yeah, minding your business, I think, again, is like most business steps. You have to look at it from inception. Even as you are starting up your business, okay? A lot of people want to start up a business by copying the next person's formula. It is fine to copy, but what are you doing different from the person you're copying? If you're going to cut and paste everything that the next guy is doing, then you haven't done anything different. You might as well not have started a business. And there are a lot of businesses that have started based on or copied from a business model of another business, but you do even much better. For example, the iPad, was not the first tablet. There was a tablet before the iPad, but the iPad did it better. And there are a lot of examples like that. So minding your business means that really you have to understand all the nitty-gritties of your business. But at the same time, you also have to differentiate your business and make your business work in a way that another business is not working. And by the way, minding the business also looks at even just the basics. Some businesses fail at the basics of business. Nothing too creative, but if you fail at the basics, forget about all the other issues. One of the basics that a lot of businesses fail at is even just the name. From the beginning, the inception, what does your name say about your business?
What other fundamentals, what other basic principles should one be mindful of knowing as one tries to start up a business?
Yeah, first of all, there's the registration process. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have to comply, whether it's PACRA, whether it's ZRA, the banks. And also one area where even as a people, as a country, we are really challenged is manpower. I would call it manpower relations. We still have a very bad employer-employee culture, which needs to change. And this employer-employee culture, employee looks at employer as an enemy, employer looks at an employee as an enemy, both are suspicious of each other. I'll just give you an example. A lot of organizations, you tender in a resignation, they will not even call you for an exit interview. By me, an exit interview is very, very important, maybe even more important than an interview for somebody who's trying to get a job. Because an exit interview really means that this person who's leaving the organization is free enough to speak their mind as they leave. Because in that exit interview, they might tell us something, or they might notify the organization of something that the organization might not have known. Chances are they can even save you from a mass exodus of your members of staff. The reason that same person is leaving could lead to 10, 15, 20 other people leaving. Mm-hmm. So this is some of the culture that we, I think, have to learn and have to adopt. Another example or another indication of how bad our relations are. I've left that company. They won't even survive. That's the employee or the former employee. The employer, that one has left, he'll suffer, he won't succeed. Now, it is not cast in stone that John will work for this organization for the rest of his life. It's not cast in stone. And people sometimes move on, they have to move on. And as an organization, we have to wish them well even as they move on. Equally, as people that are leaving an organization, we have to wish the organizations that we are leaving, we have to wish them well. And for me, my policy is this: a former employee is the best marketing manager you can have out there, because they are no longer with an organization, and people will trust the opinion of your organization from a former employee than from a current employee. So all these are things that we need to, even just negotiating for salaries, even just this secrecy amongst secrecy about the revenues of an organization. It shouldn't be, because when the members of staff know how our revenues are doing, they'll think, well, maybe the revenues are not doing too well right now. Maybe it's not the right time to ask for a salary increase. Maybe now is a boom. Maybe let's ask for some incentives. So already, I think the word here is that I think members of staff need to buy into the vision of the organization, of the vision bearer. And that is, I think, one of the areas where we are lacking.
Well, when we move from basics, having basics, fundamentals in business, how important is having a vision for a company?
A vision is very, very important. I think without a vision, you cannot get anywhere. And I think this is one of our failures in as African countries. This is one of our failures, even as organizations, even as a family. Okay, at family level, your son is in grade 4. What is the plan for him for Form 1? Is he going to stay at the same school? Is he going into a boarding school? Is he going to go into a day school? You see, that is vision. We don't have to wait till grade 7 to start thinking of the next step. This is at family level. So already we have to plan, you have to plan. Visionary leadership is very, very important. So definitely, even as an organization, first and foremost, even as you are starting that business, what is your vision a year from onset? How large is the market? What do you expect your market share to be 5 years, 10 years from now? Who are the major players in that industry? Are you going to usurp these market players? All that is part of your vision. What sort of people do you want to employ or do you want to attract into your workforce? Okay, what is your vision for the people? Are they coming in with skills out of college, or they don't have skills? Do you plan for them to improve their skills? Because already there, even your manpower placement, if you're going to employ people who are not skilled, what are your shifts like? Is there a provision for them to go to school after work? So all those is part of the vision is necessary. Short-term and long-term vision of an organization should be there. But a lot of people are starting businesses, are running businesses without a vision. And there should be a vision bearer, and the other people in the organization should buy into the vision of the vision bearer, which is the nation, which should be the company's vision. Now, I know this is not about politics, but one thing that irks me in politics, okay, is that you have a change of a political party and another party comes in, okay? That party decides to go ahead with some of the programs of the previous party or the previous government. And then people will say, no, these are not their programs. They are the programs of the party which was there in power. It is not right, because those are Zambian programs. Those are programs for our country. Whoever comes in, it's good to have some level of continuity. And that is why you have countries like Singapore, Malaysia, those countries in the Middle East, in Asia and so on. They've done very well, because whichever party comes into power, they do have a national vision, not just a vision of the party in power. The party in power's vision has to fall in with the national vision. So they won't be accusing of saying, no, these roads were started by so-and-so, you just finished. No, they are fulfilling the national program. They are fulfilling the national vision. And that is where we need to move up to, the level we need to move with as a people.
We'll get back to the issue of vision. I think it's quite interesting there, and also the issue of skills development. But just a quick one. As one is setting up his or her business, how important is it to understand whether there's an opportunity to grab market share in whatever industry?
That I think is very important. But guess what? What is even better than the opportunity to grab a market share? The opportunity to create your own market. Before Facebook, there was no Facebook. You create your own industry and you create a market, and that is better. Look at Facebook now. Today is, I think, the top rated company in the world. But 20 years ago, they were not, trying to grab a market share from anybody. They created their own. So you have to try and create your own niche in the market. Nothing beats that. Market share is important, because again, you need to know who the other players are in the industry and try and grab. But before you can grab a market share, you have to somehow try and know what the total market or the total value of that industry is annual, in terms of maybe sales or annual revenues or some other area of knowing what the total market is. So that even as you are growing, you can then assess what your market share has actually come to.
Amazing. Quite interesting. In the preamble, Patrick talked about you running 2 companies. So was it always the plan for you to have more than one company?
I wouldn't say there was a plan to run more than one company, but I think the second company came out of a need. A need in the sense that previously events were only Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we had all this free time during the week. And I'll be honest, and I'm proud to say this, I found myself selling electronics out of the boot. Okay, but you have to achieve some level of growth. Okay, and even when I look at today, it makes me very sad when I look at our young people that I see are not growing. Not growing in the sense that you find somebody has been selling in Shima out of their boot for the past 5 years. Where is the growth? And I'm not saying someone shouldn't sell Shima from their car. They should. But growth by me is this, my brother. Today it's Shima out of the boot. Tomorrow that person should have a dedicated food truck. Because what guarantee do we have that same boot today is selling in Shima? Tomorrow the dog is dying. It's not being carried to the vet in the same boot. So already even our council, those are areas that should now start getting regulated. And when you are regulated as an industry, believe me, it also helps in helping you grow. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with starting small, but we have to achieve some level of growth. And one thing people also have to learn is specialization. If I've decided that my vehicle is my restaurant, it should be a dedicated kitchen. It should be branded, such that even the day that somebody sees a dog in that boot, even if it's not me carrying that dog, maybe my member of staff, they should say, no, this is a food truck, or this is a vehicle which is a kitchen. Please take the dog out. That is not right. So I think that's where we have to we have to stop being mediocre, even as business people.
Speaking of being mediocre, by some, event management is seen as not a proper profession. It's something you do as a hobby or in your spare time. What do you say to that?
I would like to agree with that. But guess what? If you can make a livelihood out of a hobby, I think that's the greatest gift God can ever give you. You never work a day of your life, and with passion, you do the best work and the best job possible. And I think there are a lot of examples out there of people who've made a living from hobbies. I'll take my brother Gesh. He flies all over the world. Every day he's being called here, he's presenting this, there, and so on. Another example, Chilulemba. Just to name a few examples. And I think that as for our youths, that is something they need to borrow from. You don't always have to be in the conventional mainstream business to make a living. And more people that fall out of the mainstream but are able to make a living. That is what an economy needs. That is diversity. That is diversifying. You don't have to come up with some dream, some far-fetched concept of diversification. That is diversification. And I'll give you another example. An example of one country which is number one by mere diversification in the world is Israel. Israel doesn't have oil. Israel is surrounded by its enemies all around it. But Israel is doing very well. Why? Because most of these technologies that we are using today, be it GPS, be it cell phones, be it the battery in your cell phone, all those are either designed in Israel or made in Israel. So basically they are the brain of the world in terms of technology. Already that is diversification. So there are kids coming out of college in Israel. They're going to the military for 1 year. They earn their college credits. And they are working out of their garages, out of their bedrooms, and designing even this, what you call this, software basically to antiviruses and so on. They're being designed in Israel. So diversification is important. And don't look down in a trade simply because it's not conventional. No. That is not the way business should be.
In minding your business, Matale, how do we go about explaining to our youth and the powers that be that there's great potential in identifying what you do best and what you enjoy, and you can actually make a livelihood out of it? How do we practically, in your own experience, go about, kind of like passing on this knowledge to our youth to say, look, if you're good at this, maybe you need to find opportunity to do ABCD that can earn you a little bit of kwacha?
I think the magic word there, sir, is mentorship. And I think that's one of the areas which, as a people, as a country, we have done very badly. Starting from independence, I think we have not had good mentorship programs in all fields. Okay, and in terms of mentorship, sometimes you might not look at it that way, but it is mentorship. Be it at family level, okay, I think we haven't done very well. Be it at in terms of industry, because already apprenticeship is supposed to be mentorship. But tell me, how many apprenticeship programs are running in most companies? There isn't even a requirement for companies to have apprentices who are joining those companies. So already, that is where we are failing. So to all the leaders, to people that are listening out there, as long as we are not mentoring people, okay, we are not helping our country. Okay, and the youth are the future, and I think we the older generations, myself going backwards, we have failed the youths. We have failed the youths because we have not mentored them. Okay, now there are several ways and different ways, even in the churches, even in the political parties, everywhere else, there should be some mentorship programs. Okay, that is why even some of the problems that we are facing today in this country politically are because of the lack of mentorship. Because if people have been mentored well to say, look, this violence is not necessary, nobody needs to talk about violence. It should just not exist. But again, it goes back to mentorship. If I, the older, are sending the younger to go and butcher, to beat up, to others and so on, already that is wrong mentorship. We have failed at mentorship. Now, as a person who's older, I'm almost 50 years old. My role is not just to paint a gloomy picture, but to say, look, there is hope. And hope is there. We have a great country here, and we should all have hope. If we don't have hope, like I was saying to brother man over here, then we should all just find ourselves a grave. You dig yourself a grave, and you shout for help for someone to come and bury you, because hope is what should keep us going. There's the Mara Mentor program, which is running in Zambia right now. And it's very easy. On your mobile phone, you Google Mara Mentor, you install that app, you download and install that app, and you try and find yourself a mentor who mentor these people in business. So mentorship is very important. You can't get anywhere without mentorship.
We'll get back to the issue of mentorship in just a moment, and also touch on skills development. Maybe I think those are intertwined, and then maybe we can talk more about market share on a national perspective. That is, there's certain schools of thought that will argue that perhaps the reason we're not growing from the boot to a location is that the national economy, the national cake, is way too small to be shared amongst many. We'll take a short break.
The Startup Hour, giving entrepreneurs education, motivation, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs from all corners of the country.
Power to the people. Power to the people. We gotta take the power back. We gotta take the power back. Can I get just a little bit of power? So power. Give it to me.
Feel the power of youth radio.
The Startup Hour, giving entrepreneurs education, motivation, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs from all corners of the country.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, a very good morning to you. Today on the Startup Hour, we're talking minding your business with Matale Suba, Managing Director of Solid Gold Events Zambia. He's at the MD of Solid Gold Events Zambia, a full-service event Imagineering company based in Osaka, Zambia. As Solid Gold's Chief Imagineering Officer, Matale is responsible for the creation and development of small to large scale events such as festivals, conferences, ceremonies, formal parties and concerts, as well as conventions. Now, before the break, Matale, we touched on skills development. We touched on how important it is for one to have a vision as one sets up a business, and as well as identifying the market share in a particular industry. Let's start with skills development. I'll just quickly, if we may touch on this. Once you have identified what business you're doing, you have employed X number of employees. How important is it for one to continuously develop those employee skills?
The employee skills are necessary, because if a business is going to grow, growing is not just in terms of sales, but you have to grow in knowledge. And knowledge comes with skills, or skills come with knowledge, and you have to improve. And in terms of skills development, some of it is internal, the other is external. Okay, so people have to go for courses, be it short courses. Some things you have to learn in-house, especially if you are innovative, especially if you are in some sort of a cutting-edge technology or a new industry that has never been before. Sometimes you literally have to write the script. But even when you're writing the script, the rest of the people have to learn the script. They have to learn those new skills. So skills development is a necessity.
In terms of market share, you interestingly say that one should look at creating a market for oneself and not necessarily, trying to copy and paste. But in terms of understanding that there's an opportunity here maybe to gain, a certain percentage of the market share, how does one go about studying or understanding what the market share is in a particular industry? Let's give an instance of Solid Gold maybe, or Cell Site, which is involved in electronics and mobile devices and whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot of information. Say, for example, in terms of market share for, say, electronics and mobile phones. Your starting point are the large companies, the people that are supplying the devices. So whether Samsung, Huawei, and so on. And there are two ends from which you can tell. They are always collecting information, and you can get information off them. And the information that they are getting is what you are ordering and what you are selling. So already from what you are ordering from them and from what you are selling, they're able to tell how many funds are going out there. So, and then they also know what your competitors are getting from them, and so you are able roughly to get what the market share is. Obviously, there are those which are not being bought locally that are being ordered, but even with those, somehow the numbers are available. So it might not be an exact science, but you are able to collect that information. In terms of solid gold, you look at, first of all, the venues, the events that are going on at the various venues. At the same time also, there are these big events. So you have to ask yourself, am I going to go for every small event that is coming my way, be it maybe weddings and so on, or am I going to go for the big events? And for the big events, you somehow know, this event was picked up by this company. So roughly, you are able to see what your market share is. And the beauty of any market is that almost every company, believe it or not, is placed somewhere by both by the consumers and by the general public. I'll just give you an example. Today, as I sit here, I'm very proud to say I have finished the 10 provinces of Zambia. I had never been to Luapula province, but last week I did go to Luapula province
Expo.
because we were manning or event services at the Luapula Expo. And I should be one to say, very proud as a Zambian who does not come from Luapula province, to say my brothers and sisters in Luapula province put up a spectacular expo. The turnout was spectacular. The turnout was beyond expectation. It was officiated by the president. Luapula is beautiful, and I think that is what we need as Zambians, to be able to appreciate each other's areas, each other's regions, and to have successful events like that. A lot of opportunities in Luapula, not just for the big business, but even for the small entrepreneurs, even the people, my brothers and sisters who are doing food over here. There isn't a takeaway in Luapula. There isn't even Hungry Lion in Mansa. So all these are opportunities that we need to look at.
Just a quick one before Mwape comes in. Interestingly enough, you're in a particular industry where perhaps this question would make more sense. And I've had these conversations many a time, where one would say, look, we can't bring in a particular artist because obviously they charge so much, and we don't have the money available to be able to lure such an artist in Zambia, and I'm referring to the market share and maybe to a particular industry. How do you go about studying? Say, for instance, Solid Gold is not able to bring a Jay-Z or a Rihanna to Zambia and then maybe be able to sell 50,000 tickets.
Yeah, I think on that one, the issue here again is on how you think through things. Okay. I had a stint with an American company, okay, of an event. And there I was very busy, okay, making sure that nobody steals any money at the gate. And my boss told me, you're wasting time with that. That is not where the money is. Come here. We walked outside. He showed me a billboard. And can you see that name there? Budweiser. That's where the money is coming from. So as long as Budweiser is happy, we've done our job. Gate takings are pocket change. And for the event managers, event service providers and so on, we have to learn that gate takings are pocket change. You cannot run a big concert on gate takings. No, the big concert is run by the sponsorship. Sponsors also have to learn that is their corporate social responsibility. In South Africa, not so far away from here, we have all these big concerts and so on that are going on. And they are being run by Peter Stuyvesant, although that's tobacco. Right now there are issues with tobacco. And these other companies. So the sponsors are the ones who carry the biggest part of the bill. So this thing of saying that we cannot bring somebody and so into Zambia, I think is a myth that has to be dispelled. With good sponsorship, good organization, already we are getting there with the Stanbic Music Festival. We have Boys to Men coming. Stanbic foots most of that bill. Nobody should lie that Stanbic recovers their money from gate takings. It is not possible, not with the costs involved. So to everybody out there, these are industry insights that you need to learn. If you think you're going to run a concert and recover your money from gate takings, please sit down.
So is it safe to say that Solid Gold we can look forward to in the near future, Solid Gold planning some of these major artists coming to Zambia? Because there's always the question to say, but why don't they come to Lusaka? If they can come to Joburg, they can go to Harare next door,
Kampala,
or to Windhoek.
Yeah, again, for us, we are an event services company. we are not promoters. Yeah, so when a promoter does their part, our job is to provide event services. Again, that is another area where we are really killing it in Zambia. You want to be an event manager, you want to be an event services provider, and so on. For us, as Solid Gold, we work very well with an event services, an event manager, because the event manager is our boss. So between us and the client, we are answerable to the event manager. I'll give you an example. Luapula province, we went under Africast, and we're answerable to Africast. Okay, they manage us. Now, this thing of wanting to be a jack of all trades and take everything at an event is what is gonna what kills a lot of events. Stay in your lane. If you're an event services provider, provide the event services. If you're an event manager, you manage the events on behalf of the client, and the event will go well.
Amazing. Yeah, you don't need to be the caterer and
no
one-man shop.
No.
Yeah, speaking of market share, Solid Gold as an events company isn't, I wouldn't consider it flashy. You know, don't have billboards all over the place, Facebook ads flying in your face, but you have such a powerful reputation in the event industry. How have you built that?
I think it goes with the business model. It's we under promise and over deliver. I think it's not our job to be flashy. We are not the event. The event is whatever is going on, and we are the service provider. So our job actually is servitude, and that's another thing also which I think our youths need to learn. Servitude in life is very important. And I'll give you an example. If I'm going to walk across a floor and I see a cable which I feel that might drop someone and injure a client at an event, I don't have a problem kneeling down and putting that cable, and I put duct tape over it and so on. Okay, I'm not going to be boss over that cable and just stand over it and watch it. And that is what the service industry should be all about. It's about servitude. And already I would want to give an example of a person who is, I think where it comes to nightclubs, is number one in this country, but he is number one at servitude, and that is Spiro, who was running 101 and all these other. If you drink, if there's water on the table, if it means getting a mutton cloth, he will get that mutton cloth and wipe it. By the time his member of staff is coming, maybe it's a bit too late, and we have to learn that. It's good. This excessive pride will not get anybody anywhere. Servitude is important.
Amazing. Speaking of which, planning a birthday party is not the same as organizing and managing several events at different stages. So how do you maintain focus and stay just laser sharp? Because I understand there's usually more than one event happening in the week, and you guys are servicing each and every one.
Yeah, okay, on that again, it comes down to teamwork. I don't work alone. I work with a very competent team. But for a team to get to that competence, they need to be trained. They need also to be empowered. Empowered in the sense that they need to know that even when they make even when they make a decision which later on turns not so good, they have the backing of the company. Okay, so you have to have that confidence in your members of staff. You have to trust them, and you have to learn to delegate. And from the first day that a person joins the company, okay, they are already being trusted. A year later, the person knows that this is my company. So that is very important. And also, teamwork is important. Delegation is important. And I think that's where a lot of us are failing in business. We don't want to delegate.
That leads me to my next question, actually. When is the best time to bring in a team as a founder? Should you wait until the business gets to profitable and then you bring in a team, or do you just start out with a team?
Yeah, on that one, there's no one answer fits all, one situation fits all. I'll give you an example. If you're going to start a restaurant, okay, you have to start with a team because you need waiters. You need people to help you in the kitchen. So already from day one, you need that team. If you're going to start maybe a tailoring business, you can start as one man. You and your machine, even in your bedroom, as the business is growing. So you have to be able to, again, it comes down to maybe what the topic is all about today, minding your business. Yeah, you have to know, to understand the basics of your business. Then we were at a business conference last week where we were together. Somebody asked a question to say what percentage of the revenues should be dedicated to manpower, as in remuneration for the members of staff. And my co-panelists did answer it, and I believe he answered it very well. But the thing about this is that all of these things that we are talking about, these business basics, are available. And guess where they are available? On our phones, on Google. And these are questions that people can ask, and they will get answers, because most of these answers differ from business to business. For example, something that a lot of people are falling for in Zambia is these high rentals in the malls, okay? And to everybody out there who is planning to rent a store in a mall, and I'm speaking because I'm a person who has suffered the blunt end of high rentals in the malls. The question you should ask yourself is that, what percentage of your revenue should go to rentals, okay? Now, if your rent is going to be 30%, 40% of your gross revenue is going to rentals, then you might as well go and get a job and work for the landlord. It is not a business. Now we have this tendency of rushing for a more so-and-so's shop, so-and-so came out of their shop, can I get that shop quickly? You don't do any research to find out what are the rentals, what is the percentage. Now in terms of percentages of rentals that you should pay, again, that is information that's readily available on the net. You just Google it, you get it. And then again, I'll give an example. If you're going to run, say for example, a photo booth and a restaurant, definitely the person running a restaurant will require to have more floor space than the person running a photo booth. So these are things that people who are in business need to understand, even when they are going for rentals. Even when you want to rent a place, you look at the amount of space you're going to use, you look at the rentals you're going to pay. All these are things that you have to take into consideration. The days are gone of just assuming, no, because it's this mall, obviously people will come. There are malls where people are not going into, and very soon we'll have situations whereby malls will be shutting down because nobody's going there. And this is not just Zambia, by the way. In South Africa, there are a lot of malls that are failing. So these are some of the things that, again, it comes back to minding your business. You have to know, to understand the intricacies of the industry or the business you are in.
Well, which is an excellent point you've raised there. How does one go about gauging what traffic at a particular mall is? Now, my understanding is that there's two types of traffic. There's the traffic that's window shopping, and then there's the traffic that, like Mape, he's just pointed towards him. He would just go to the mall to hang out. To hang out, yeah. But then there's the traffic that's actually doing the buying. And I'm one person who will look at an item in a shop in a mall and ask myself. I always ask myself the question to say, how much rentals am I paying for this item?
Exactly. It's good that you've brought up that issue. That's, I think, one of the issues that where, again, even as business people, we are failing. Even as you are going into a mall, you should ask yourself, what kind of a mall is this? Okay. Certain malls are basically, and this is not just here in the world. If you're going to be in a mall, say in Las Vegas, you know that nobody goes to Las Vegas to do shopping. People go there for gambling, drinking, and
many other things.
And many other things
that remain in Vegas.
Thank you. So if you're going to start, say, maybe a gaming store, Las Vegas is the right place, and so on. So we need to know what sort of a mall we are going into and what sort of product we are offering. At the same time, also, for everybody who is in business, believe me, if there's somebody you should respect, is a window shopper. Because at Cellsite, we say the window shopper of today is the phone buyer of tomorrow. So we need the patience with our window shoppers. We need to walk them through what they need to ask. We need to ask, because some of the products that, again, it goes with the products that you are selling. I don't think anybody goes to window shop sugar or to window shop cooking oil and ShopRite. Nobody does that. But if it comes to clothes, if it comes to phones and other things, you find that people have to window shop before. Because again, let's not lie to each other. These things are expensive. I won't lie to you today that no, phones are very cheap. No, it is an investment. Investment, because as much as you are spending that amount of money, your business, your family contacts, whatever you want to do is on that mobile device. So because somebody's buying or making that investment, they won't just walk in, just buy just like that. No, unless if they are buying a very cheap phone, maybe your smartphone has been stolen and you just want a small communicator, as we call them, which is maybe 60 kwacha or 100 kwacha. Then they'll make a buying decision right there and then. But for most devices that are being bought, especially a smartphone, it starts with the window shopper first.
In minding your business, and for those that own businesses that are listening now, you alluded to something that I think is critical. How critical is the window shopper in information gathering for you? as a business?
Thank you very much. That I think is the starting point of information gathering, because with the window shopper, one, you get to know certain products that the market is looking for, which you might not even stock. In technology, sometimes we have situations where the window shopper asks you of a device that you didn't even know about. And technology, nobody knows it all. If you are smart, already you go to your phone, even in the back, you Google it and find out, okay, no, we didn't know this device is out. So I think it's very important. The window shopper is important, really.
Amazing. So what takes up more of your time? Managing management or managing operations?
Management, not so much. I think operations is where, and also I pick my hours, I pick my venues, in the sense that if I know we've got an event in Luapula province and the president is going to be there, I think it's my duty to my client, even if I have this trust and so on with my team, to be there. So that even if the slightest of things goes wrong, no one should turn around and say, you see, he does not even bother, he's not even here, most probably he's in Lusaka. So for the expo, I made sure I traveled to Luapula. Yes, I might not have stayed till the last day, but for as long as I know the major events have happened, everything has gone, everything, and then I say, okay, fine, let me move on. So really, it's but I think also it's important to stay in touch with your business. I shouldn't be running an event in Lusaka and I make it a habit of being in Siavonga each time my events are running, because who does the quality control? I think I should be involved with the quality control process. And also, even to the client, I think it's a good feeling if the person who is ultimately in charge of that event can be seen at the event, even if they are not doing anything, but just your presence makes that difference.
Amazing. So would you consider yourself a hands-off manager?
I think I'm hands-on, especially where operations are concerned. At the same time, also for me, my part in the company is more in terms of the creative. I'm part of the creative art. So the most important part for me actually is before the event. The planning of the event, the planning of the creatives. We do a lot of work with fabrics, with metal, with wood. So those three elements are my field, and I make sure they are done. And also, I do quality control in terms of also safety, because we have a lot of things which are hanging overhead. And by the way, we've been doing stages from 2003 up to 2017. We've never had an injury. We've never had a stage collapse. And my brother MC Wabwino was the first artist to perform on our stage, and you can imagine MC Wabwino's weight and height. So we had to go and redesign our stages, because the whole time that he was on that stage, I was gnashing my teeth because the stage was shaking as he was dancing. So really, he was our road test for our stage. So unless a bigger artist than MC Wabwino comes along, I think we're still safe.
I want us to take a short break, Matale, and when we do come back, maybe we can still touch on the issue of mentoring our youth, and also talk about the issue that you just alluded to just now of quality control, how important it is to have quality control within one's business. And maybe we can touch on the often overlooked aspect of having good customer service.
Definitely.
We'll be right back.
The Startup Hour, giving entrepreneurs education, motivation, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs from all corners of the country.
Power to the people. We gotta take the power back. We gotta take the power back. And I gave just a little bit of power. So power. Give it to me. So power. Hey, we need it. So power. We want it. So power. I got the power.
The Startup Hour, giving entrepreneurs education, motivation, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs from all corners of the country.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, a very good morning to you. We're in the last year of the Startup Hour. Today on the Startup Hour, we talk minding your business with Matale Suba, Managing Director of Solid Gold Events Zambia. Solid Gold is known for customizing event strategies to match their clients' goals, budget, and manpower resources. Matale and his team are committed to providing their clients with quality service that delivers results. Their work speaks for itself, with a portfolio boosting of events like the Batoka Gorge Investors Conference held in Livingston in 2016, as well as His Excellency Edgar Lungu's presidential inauguration. Matale, before the break and earlier in the show, we spoke about how important, or how critical actually, should I say, it is for businessmen of your caliber to mentor young people that are coming up. Why do you still think that is, and you said earlier that I think in your views, businessmen and elders in general have failed to mentor the Zambian youth?
Yeah, because you see, the youths are our future, really, and the future of this country, and hangs on the youths. So it's very important for the future of the country that the youths, who are obviously the future leaders, are well mentored. That way we have good leaders in our country. And I think even as leaders today, we have to keep thinking of posterity. Posterity is not just about maybe my family and so on, but posterity is about what positive contribution have I done to this country, to this world as I leave it. And I think we all have that responsibility. For everybody who's living on the planet today has got the responsibility of making sure that they leave it a better place, even just in the smallest of ways. And I think mentorship is one of those.
Do you think, Matale, that maybe we misunderstand what it means to mentor someone?
I think we've really missed it on that one. Yeah, because mentorship starts in my home. What example I'm giving my children. Mentorship starts with my nephews, with my, everybody around me that is younger than me. In whatever I'm doing, I'm mentoring them. It doesn't have to be a deliberate mentorship program. And guess what? In mentorship, sometimes you can be, even people have mentored others without realizing that they are mentoring them. Even those who are being mentored sometimes are being mentored even without realizing that they are being mentored. Okay, I've got a nephew of mine. I'm calling him a nephew, but he's actually my sister's grandson, who's at the moment who's with us. And for me, I might not have told him this, but I've taken it upon myself to mentor him, to say, for as long as you're with me this short period, at least you pick up ABCD traits. And it's not even about saying that he's a bad person. This is a boy who is in college. Already that is a good starting point, because already he's a boy who's facing in the right direction. And it's my duty, for as long as he's with me, to make sure that I mentor him. Maybe when he's out of my hands, well and good, but for that short period, I have done something. Including if I'm working with people, for anybody who's younger than me, every contact that I have with them, they are learning something from somebody older. That is, I think, the starting point of this mentorship. We have, I went somewhere, and a young man this elderly man, I found him very annoyed with a young man. So I asked him, what is the problem? He says, no. Can you imagine this guy walks out of here and says to me that, hey, which pondo shani up? Okay? And this elderly man was annoyed. Do you know what I said to him? I said, actually, it's good that it's the young man who has said which pondo shani up to you than you, the elderly man, saying which pondo shani up to the young man. Because one is older. A higher duty, a higher standard of care is required of an older person towards a younger person than a younger person towards an older person. Because the younger person, you can then mentor them after that and make sure they grow out of that. But an older person who's saying that, clearly there's no hope for them.
In business, do you think that most successful businessmen in Zambia are not teaching the younger entrepreneurs that are coming up on how to manage, their startups or their businesses, or just getting them on their feet? And by that, I mean, there's this perception that maybe if you are successful and I come to you, I want to walk in your footsteps, you need to help me with my collateral for the loan, or my whatever requirements may be in monetary terms.
Yeah, there's the
other notion that goes that teach one to fish so that they can fish on themselves as opposed to give them fish.
Yeah, for me, I did 2 degrees. 1 degree I did in my younger days. My second degree I did in my older days. And in my older days, I went into law school. Okay, I did a law degree. I was with a lot of younger people than me, okay? And I think to some extent I did have an influence. I wouldn't even call it mentoring. I did have a positive influence over them being older, okay? Some of them today have become customers, my customers in the stores. They'll phone you, hey, Mr. Matale, I want to buy a phone. Where are you? Whatever, and like that. The last 2 years have been very rough. Okay, I needed some money. I phoned one of them and I told them, my man, I need some money, but I don't need you to give me a loan. I don't need you to give me money for free. But guess what? I want you to come and buy something from me. Are you saying that is a dignified way of getting help from younger people for older people? Okay, so we shouldn't be scared of younger people being successful. Neither should we feel that once they are successful, they owe us something. They don't owe us anything once they are successful. And I think that is where I think even in families we have missed it. We have missed it in the sense that because my nephew has stayed with me for this period of time, in my old age, my nephew should take care of me. No. The only thing I ask from my nephew is that he looks favorably upon my children. So the older generation should always look towards the younger generation. So your generation does not owe the generation before it for education, for whatever. No, be it as a country, be it as what they just need of you. What you owe that generation is to take care of each other, to be responsible citizens, and to do well. There's no debt. So for anybody out there who's looking after a nephew or whoever is in your home, be it for education, for what, please be mindful that that person who is in your home, that is not a debt. It is not a debt. The only people that person owes is the people coming after them and their mentors to make sure that they are living correctly and that they are lookout and they are responsible towards each other. So it's very irresponsible for elderly people to keep telling younger people, after all, I looked after you in my home. That is wrong. That is what actually is not mentorship. That is the opposite of mentorship. If the person feels obliged, after all, my uncle, I lived in my uncle's house, let me buy him a car. Guess what? That is great, but that's a bonus. That should not be a requirement for taking care of somebody in your home.
In business, though, trying to get this out of you, do we miss the part where if you are successful, you're not imparting some of your business acumen or knowledge to the younger generation?
Yes, we are missing it. But you see, for that one also, I don't want to blame the older generation so much in business, because you know what it is. Entrepreneurship here is only about 20-something years old, 30 years at the most. Okay, so it's not a culture that we have had for over 100 years. Whereas our friends, their capitalism is what? Is maybe 500, 1,000 years old. Okay, Marco Polo was from Macedonia. He went to borrow money from Venice in Italy, walked past Macedonia, went to China to buy goods, passed again, went back to his principles in Venice. So for us, this is a new culture that is coming up. So for me, I won't even use this podium to shoot at my fellow entrepreneurs who have never come on radio, because guess what? Some of them, even maybe without knowing it, they're actually mentoring people in their organizations. But not everybody has an opportunity to come onto a program like this one. So what I would like to encourage my fellow entrepreneurs is that let us share our story. Okay, your story is not worth anything if you have not shared it. Okay, sometimes maybe your story is all you have and it might inspire someone. The other notion is this notion of saying, no, if I impart knowledge in others, they will do better than me. Guess what? I'm not scared of somebody doing better than me. That is what life is all about. I want my children to achieve more than I have achieved, because I've achieved more than my father achieved. Okay, and that is growth as a people, as a nation. So right now we might not have a Zuckerberg, a Zambian, but for me, I would rest in peace knowing very well that Matale Chanda or Peter Banda or somebody, a boy I've never even met, 20 years after my demise, has become bigger than Zuckerberg. That is growth. Zimbabwe, we have the gentleman Strive Masiwa. Why shouldn't we have a Strive Masiwa in Zambia? We have Dangote in Nigeria. Why shouldn't we have that kind of a person in Zambia? So I think that is where we should go as a people. So it's not about somebody doing better than me. That is great, and that is growth.
Yeah, touching on the particular point, at the recent business conference at Nyamuka, I had this experience with a lot of young people there. They were shying away from talking to the business leaders that they saw. You know, they would see, wow, there's Matale. Yes, go and talk to him. Do you think you talk to me? You know, that sort of attitude of lack of self-confidence. What do you say to that?
Yeah, in terms of self-confidence, sorry, I'll have to keep referring to the home, because everything starts from the home. Believe it or not, we are killing the confidence of our children in our own homes. Okay? How does confidence come about? Even just parking in the Melissa car park and sending your son to go and buy something from inside the shop. While you wait in the car park, who is young, you are already building their self-confidence. At church, in Sunday school, for your son to recite that Bible verse, that already is impacting self-confidence. So this is a problem that is happening from the homes. So even us as parents in our homes, we have to build the self-confidence of our children. If we keep saying, if it's you, you won't do this. I saw I flew with an elderly man once. From when we jumped on, I think one of our teams jumped on, I think a team that was coming from the Gothic Cup. And he says to these young people, if it's you, you've lost. Already, that is not the kind of language that we need from our elderly people towards the young people. That is how we are killing, partly how we are killing their self-confidence. So that is number one. Number two, in terms of self-confidence for our young people, you have to read. You have to read, you have to watch the right kind of content on TV, you have to research. Once you know what you're talking about, once you know your subject, once you have a better understanding of the world, even just exposure. Exposure nowadays, even if you haven't traveled much, there's a lot of content that gives you that exposure. That is partly of what builds our self-confidence as a people. So for me, I'm blessed enough that I think I had good exposure. I had good elder brothers, elder sisters who gave me that chance for that personal growth, and it helped me in terms of my exposure, in terms of my self-confidence and everything. So that self-confidence starts from within the family. Guys, what you are doing today, to come on radio, to speak to people whom you can't even see, to speak to the whole country, requires a certain level of self-confidence. Let's face it. But because of that self-confidence, you are now earning a living with something that is very outside the box. So already we can see how far self-confidence can take you.
Amazing.
Awesome. Just because we're running out of time, real quick.
All right. What are some of the biggest problems that the event industry in Zambia is facing, based on your experience?
Quality control is number one.
I was about to come to that as we were wrapping up. Okay.
Yeah. Quality control is number one. We don't have a regulator for events. We don't have certain standards for the event industry here. It's a new industry where most of us are still writing the book.
Matale, sorry to cut you short. Let me ask you this. Perhaps maybe let's rephrase the question. Well, what does it entail to have quality control standards in events management? Concerts, conferences, expos, and what are the international norms and standards? Maybe let's start from there.
Yeah, I think in terms of regulating the whole world, this is a new industry. And why I'm saying that is that for most industries are over 100 years old. The events as an industry are less than 100 years. So for here, 100 years looks like a very long time. But say for the US, for the UK, where they've been regulating industries, different kinds of industries for so many years, it's different. So I'll speak for us as Solid Gold. What we decided, or what we opted to do, is that because there is no regulator here for the industry, we opted to go for South African standards. So we work according to South African standards. Okay. And to do that, we have our people who go for training in SA. Sometimes we have people who come in from South Africa to train our members of staff. And those are the standards that we go by. And believe it or not, even South Africa, they had no regulator, they had no standards until maybe 10 years ago. And do you know what caused that? There was a stage collapse in Pretoria about 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, that is what led now to having a standards and the areas that really are critical. Number one are the things that are hanging overhead. Okay, in South Africa, you are required to have a wire loop over all your lights, so that even if the screw, whatever fails on the light will only fall, not even halfway, but just for a bit, and it's going to hang on that wire loop. Okay. Apart from that, stage collapse. Okay, people are putting up stages who are not understanding what is involved with the stage. Is this a stationary weight? Is this a dynamic weight that is going to go on a stage? How many people total are going to be on a stage? What sort of stage is it? Is it a sectional stage or is it not? So all these are standards that people have to understand. So going forward, I feel, even if we don't get a regulator, but I think we have to have an industry body which is maybe even a self-regulating body which looks into these things. I know people don't like to be regulated, but here we're talking safety. The day that somebody dies on company B's stage, even solid gold stages won't be hired. They'll come to us and say, how do we know your stages are safe? After all, the stages of your competitor collapsed. Are you seeing? So we might say we are safe, but for as long as even our competitors are not safe, we are all not safe. It's not good for anybody, for the industry.
And other than equipment, I've heard of certain experts, I would call them, in a particular field, that would say, for instance, venue A or venue B does not meet the standard in terms of, say, exits, emergency exits or acoustics. How do we bring about harmony and standards in such case?
All those are things that need to be looked into. It's exits, it's even capacity. Sometimes people are booked beyond capacity. Even the number of toilets versus your capacity. Okay, you can't have say 1,000 people using 3 toilets. Okay, that's a disaster. So even parking, you've been to events where there is no parking. Okay, this place, there's such a big event, there's no parking. So all these are aspects that people have to start addressing these aspects. Now, if we have a body, even a self-regulating body that can look into that, because again, with self-regulation, it's not about closing people down, but sometimes it's about advising. Oh, friend, we're in the same industry. Don't you think you can improve on A, B, C, D? And we are all happier that way. We bring more events to your venue. So that's the kind of way that I think we need to start looking at things.
Okay. Well, would you suggest or recommend that maybe such a body would have to include maybe city planners, hospitality, leaders, as well as entertainment leaders and whatnot?
Yes, that would help. That would help a lot. I mean, I'll give you an example. Right now, we are from the expo in Luapula. Everything went very well. But I feel if, for example, there was a body that maybe looked into, say, accommodation, parking and so on, maybe the accommodation situation could have been better than it was, because again, that would even have helped link people who are looking for accommodation with people who are looking to rent out their houses. And now already you are renting out a house. That body now comes in to inspect how safe is this place. Is there running water? Is there hot water? How are the bedrooms? How is the living room? What is your capacity? That so all those things are things which will help us, because the person renting out is helped in that their standards are upped a bit. It helps them to link them to the customer. The customer also doesn't have to, or rather the guest doesn't have to sleep in their car. At least they're going to sleep in comfortable accommodation. Okay.
And finally, but not least, if we can just chip in a quick one before we get into the Startup Power Challenge. The issue of customer service, in your own experience, what is it as Zambian business people, what is it that we're not doing right to have the right kind of customer care attitude?
Yeah, I think for me, I feel if you don't love people, don't be anywhere near a business. It starts with love. Because if I love the next person I'm running a restaurant, I will not give them dirty food. I will not. So I think the starting point is love. At the same time also, we are Africans. We were taught customer care. If your uncle comes home already, you have to take better care of him. You have to treat him in a certain way. So I don't see why customer care is becoming a problem for us. For the businesses that I run, we have not really had a challenge with customer care. We have had, yes, irate customers. I've been punched before by a customer. And guess what? I won't even be the angel who says, no, I never punched back. When I was about to punch back, one of my members of staff held me and said, no, boss, please don't do this. Okay, and this is somebody who gave me 3 or 4 punches for simply not giving him a phone without paying for it. Only when we got to the police station that I thanked God. I thank God that I did not punch him back. Why? Because unknown to me, in this phone that we were repairing for him, was the phone number for the Western Union money that had been sent to him for his child who was critical in ICU. So by him, he was looking at me not as the person standing there refusing to give him the phone, but he was looking at me as the person who stands between life and death of his child in ICU. I did not press charges. I just said, look, my brother, please don't behave like that next time. And I went home, I took a bath, ice on my face. But it just shows you, even from a customer care point of view, that you never know the story of the person who's walking into your store. So we who are standing on this side of the counter need to be more patient with the ones who are coming in. Everybody's coming in with their own issues.
Amazing. Time to get into the Startup Hour challenges.
Yes, now we will have the Startup Hour challenge. Matale, are you ready?
Yes, which I think I'll fail very well.
Don't worry. So you're expected to answer without thinking. Just tell us whatever pops into your mind.
All right, no
Okay?
problem.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Would you recommend getting an MBA?
Yes.
Nice. If your life was a book, what would its title be?
How I found out my father had died.
What could you do with $2 million to impact the most amount of people?
I think I would look into the youth empowerment.
Nice. If life is a game, like some people say, what are some of the rules?
The rules is that you only have one life. Live it well. Make all the right decisions as you are going along.
That's right. What takes up most of your time?
Imagining.
Imagineering, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. If you could have dinner with any one person, living or dead, who would they be?
Wow. Okay, that's a difficult one because I'm already thinking of about 100 people that.
Narrow it down.
Wow. One person.
Yes, just one. They're like any person you could invite for dinner, whether they're alive or not.
Okay, that one I'll pass.
Okay.
I'll fail on that one.
I thought you would say a president somewhere, but that's okay. When was the last time you climbed a tree?
Maybe in the last 1 month or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because most of the guests we've asked that question would say, I was about 7 years old. So it shows your appreciation for nature. Thank you. Thank
Are
you.
you sure I was appreciating nature? You're not asking me what.
No!
I'll tell you. It's not a secret.
No, you climbed the tree. That's what matters. All right. What song or artist do you like but rarely admit to liking?
Song or artist. I would say maybe Soli or Benjamin Dube.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know neither, but
Serious, huh?
yes, it's serious. What could you give a 40-minute presentation on without any preparation? They just tell you, Matale, you're giving a 40-minute presentation. Go.
Business.
Nice. What was the last gift you gave someone?
Knowledge.
Thank you. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self, I would say finish school, go get a job, work for 5 years before you venture into business.
And that has been the Startup Hour Challenge.
Awesome. Kindly take note that the real estate market has exploded in Zambia over the last 10 years, and one woman has been at the heart of it, Inutu Zalamis Kaluba. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the 2nd of August 2017, the Startup Hour hosts Inutu Zalamis. She's founder of Palm Golding Properties nearly a year ago and is now, if the country's largest and most respected real estate broker, property development consultants, property management companies. Some of our most notable projects include Kablonga Central, Woodlands, McKinney. She believes in the opportunities for sustainable long-term wealth creation through property development and investment. Come and learn how she did it and what drives her to be the best at this month's Startup Hour, the Startup Junction, that is. We start at 17:30 at Protea Hotel Arcade's old building. Entry fee is 20 kwacha only. The first 20 people to get there will get free admission into Bongo Hive Masterclass program. Remember to bring a friend.
That's my sister.
Awesome stuff. Amazing stuff.
We're not, in Africa, we share grandparents.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so my grandfather is the firstborn.
Okay.
Her grandmother is the lastborn in the family.
Absolutely amazing.
What a
Wow.
coincidence.
So if you enjoyed this particular show, be sure to catch Matale's sister tomorrow. That's at Protea Arcades, 17:30 for the Startup Junction. 20 kwacha gets you in. Matale, it's been a pleasure having you on the Startup Hour show.
Thanks for having me, and I hope I've had a positive impact on somebody out there. It doesn't have to be just the youths. adults, but even somebody who's in business, somebody who's starting up, or somebody who's been in business for a long time and just needed that word of encouragement. I hope I have helped deliver that.
There's hope.
Message.
Well, it certainly has been an informative and insightful session, all rolled into one. Many thanks indeed again. Be sure to catch us next week, same time, same day, as we bring you more influential business and thought leaders. Be inspired, and remember, the only person responsible for Zambia's development is you. So what are you doing about it?
This has been Startup Hour, bringing successful Zambian entrepreneurs, policymakers, and subject experts to share their stories. Startup Hour, in association with Power FM.
Power FM broadcast to Lusaka and Central Provinces. Advertise with us now.